Welcome to the Call Your Shot podcast, your weekly sports recap podcast where we break down the hottest headlines, dissect the latest injuries, and serve up our own hard-hitting analysis of the past week in sports. But that's not all. We're not just here to talk about the past, we're here to predict the future as well. On the Call Your Shot podcast, we boldly predict the outcomes of the upcoming week's games.
Let's get started in the AFC South as we have all of these young quarterbacks. You have CJ Stroud, as we talked about, with his Rookie of the Year season. You have Anthony Richardson, who everybody is super high on when it comes to fantasy and his rushing ability. And you obviously have Trevor Lawrence, who we've mentioned got the bag. Few quarterbacks got the bag. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Surprising bags, but it's okay. And then you have Will Levis, who added Calvin Ridley, as well as still has DeAndre Hopkins from last year. So who do you have winning that division, and how do you have it shaping up for the rest of it?
So this is a tough division, honestly.
No, it's not.
It is. It is because I don't want to be that guy and just like Texans to the moon, bro. I'm telling you, like CJ Stroud's gonna do it
That's
again.
okay.
He's basically
I'll be that
Joe
guy.
Namath. Okay, all
I'll
right.
be him.
And so, like, sure, 10-7 last year. They had a rookie quarterback, rookie head coach. Head coach probably should have won rookie or coach of the year as well.
Mm-hmm.
Need to have an investigation on that. But somehow didn't end up winning. Yeah, I'm not gonna say nothing, but I'm saying something. Anyways, but
No, you forgot to mention we just added Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon is.
You hate. I don't know I don't know what to qualify it is, because like Josh Jacobs is like a bruiser, and I wouldn't necessarily say Joe Mixon's a bruiser, but like that tier quality of running backs, you hate volume monsters. That's what you hate. You hate Josh Jacobs. You hate Rachaad White. You hate Joe Mixon. You hate, I don't know why. You hate volume
because
monsters.
He's not efficient. He's
so
not.
Not everybody can be Christian McCaffrey. I'm sorry.
Like I want to see somebody that is maybe as an NFL quarterback, obviously, as an NFL running back, obviously, he's very good. Like he does.
The only running back over the past 4 seasons to finish in the top 10 each of the last 4 seasons.
Yeah. That's because he just keeps on pounding the ball on the 1 yard line. He's basically like James Conner, but a little. He
catches passes.
So does James Conner.
This is true.
Like he's literally the same. They're the same person.
That's kind of rude, but okay.
There's facts. And then with Diggs as well too. Too many mouths to feed over there. And that's my guy. Don't get me wrong.
It's great for CJ.
Well, it's bad for Stephon Diggs, and when Stephon Diggs does not get his targets, we know what happens. He turns into Antonio Brown. Exactly.
Oh boy.
Maybe not Antonio Brown, but he definitely turns into.
He got some diva. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I think that it'll be interesting to see how CJ handles that when Diggs isn't getting his targets, because his boy is Tank Dell. Like that's his guy he grew up with, and
everything Nico.
Like that. Exactly. He's also got Nico as well. But if you're taking those targets away from each one of those players, are they going to get upset because they're seeing this guy getting all the targets? And then what about Schultz going over the middle as well too? And then you also got to get the ball to Mixon. I'm not sure why you would do that, but you also got to get the ball to him. And so I just think that there's a lot of mouths to feed. It's a new offense for these players that are coming into the team with Mixon and Diggs. I don't know if they're going to have the same. I don't know if they're going to have the same mentality and be able to accept their new role of not being the main focus of the offense is my thing.
I feel like they're kind of like a lesser version of the Lions, and the fact that like the Lions were, I don't want to say like everybody underestimated them, but they were kind of like a why not us mentality and kind of like exceeding people's expectations, just like the Texans did last year. Nobody expected the Texans to be a playoff team. People expected CJ Stroud to be good, but not like a borderline MVP quarterback and all this kind of stuff. So now when they actually do have those expectations with all the new talent that they have, yeah, I don't know exactly how it's gonna shape up. But I mean, do you have somebody beating them in the division, or
Um, do I have anybody? Wait, say that again.
do you
I
have
was looking at
anybody?
Joe Mixon's stats.
You're like, I don't want to be that guy. You said I don't want to be that guy who says Texans to the moon, just shot to the moon, and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, you have the Jags or the Colts or the Titans beating them because I don't.
Yeah, I'd have to go with the Colts,
No,
honestly.
oh, no.
Hey man,
You hypocrite.
dude, dude. In terms of overall team makeup, sure, yeah, you got uh, you got Bobby over there calling the plays and stuff, and he's good. He's great. He's locking down the defense. But I think he squeezed out everything that he possibly could out of that defense. Um, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he does it again. Maybe he pulls a rabbit out of the hat and he's able to do it again. But I want to see him do it again.
They don't
Okay,
need
like
to if the Texans are gonna score 40 points a game.
okay, yeah. But again, with that too, like the Colts are gonna have a not a great defense as well.
Mm-hmm.
But in Shane Steichen we trust. I think that now that they're gonna have a healthy Anthony Richardson, they're gonna have Michael Pittman, and they're gonna have uh, uh, Taylor as well back there too. So
Mm-mm.
I think that this is going to be the year that the Colts take a step forward, Mr. Harris. Mark my words. Today, what is today? August 27th.
We can first bet of
Brew
the season.
more.
How much you want to bet that the Texans finish with more wins than the Colts? Because this is my thing. So we talked about even talking about the 49ers a few minutes ago and the injury concerns and stuff like that. Mentioning Anthony Richardson, I think it was like the fantasy footballers I was watching. Like I didn't know he's played 17 games since high school. So he
Yeah.
started in seven. That's ridiculous. So like he's already an injury prone as it is. Jonathan Taylor, as we both know, can't stay healthy for anything. And you're just like, yep, Michael Pittman, take us to the promised land.
So if you do recall, last year in terms of the how every week whenever we're talking about the games, I would always first talk about the offensive line matchup, and that'd be where I'd kind of start my analysis, and then I'd go from there. Do you want to take a guess at where the Houston Texans rank in terms of O line? Just overall O line, not offensive like rushing, run blocking, or pass blocking, anything like that. Just offensive line in general, according to Pro Football Focus, of course.
No clue. I know it was terrible because Damian Pierce looked like trash. That's what I do know. So we'll say 29th.
You're close. 32nd.
Oh Jesus.
Do you know how many teams are in the NFL, Mr. Harris?
uh,
32.
okay, then fine. Question for you. So where did the Colts rank last year when it came to offensive uh, line?
So last year they finished overall eighth,
They finished
I
overall
believe.
eighth. So it doesn't matter if Anthony Richardson is going to scramble and think he's a tank in
What do you
Cam
mean?
Newton and try.
Dude,
That's how he got
okay,
hurt last season.
they
So they
got
had a great guy.
no, they got
They,
that production out of Minshew. You think Anthony Richardson is better than Minshew? That's the thing too, is that those are two completely different players. They set up their whole offense around Anthony Richardson, and they had to change the whole entire
yeah, because he got hurt.
status of. Well, yeah, it's just like what he was saying. He's like, are you going to limit the running capabilities of Anthony Richardson going into the season? And do you know what his reply was?
Hmm.
It was, would you stop Steph Curry from shooting threes?
Exactly. If Steph Curry breaks his wrist every time he does a follow through, I would probably think about
No, okay.
limiting and all that kind of stuff. He's injury prone. Like I
Yeah,
don't. Like just
he's
like the same thing with
working on him with
people
the slides and stuff.
when it
It's
comes to
like Josh Allen.
fantasy, you're just like, okay, he played like 2.5 games last year of like full, like he finished like 2 or 3 games last year, and he looks great, yeah. And people are like, okay, yeah, let's draft him like fifth overall in fantasy when it comes to quarterbacks. So
I think
let's
that
say
was
that the
too high.
Colts, or let's say that the Colts are, to the moon or league winners or whatever the case may be. Like this man has played a football season now is 17 weeks. So he's played
Yeah.
one he hasn't even Drew since high school.
That's okay.
He's
He's
not okay.
fresh.
So
God damn
you're just
it.
gonna assume. So the 49ers, you're gonna assume because of injury history that they're gonna get injured. But with Anthony Richardson, everything that he's shown you throughout his entire collegiate and professional career, you're just
I'm
like,
not
nah,
saying
he's
that
fine.
he's gonna play every game. I'm not saying he's
He's
playing every
fine.
game. I'm
Who's their
saying
backup now?
that is honestly a great question.
Let's
It doesn't
find out
matter because
because it's not Gardner
he's
Minshew.
gonna play
Gardner
enough.
Minshew. We talked about Gardner Minshew is one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, he is one of the better ones out there. But yeah, no, I just think that in terms of the offensive line,
Oh,
the
you guys might be all
discrepancy
right.
between the two.
It's Joe Flacco.
Who's
You might
that?
be all right.
See, yeah, see, you saw what he did.
This man, yeah, I was gonna say he might be the starter come week one. I ain't gonna lie to
Okay,
you.
okay.
I'm surprised that like some team were like, hey Joe Flacco, he was like $10 million, come be this little starter real quick. Because hey man, this man,
I don't even know how he bamboozled people into giving him money. That's
because
crazy.
he took the Browns to the promised land.
He do I think it was actually him? No, I think that it was a lot of YOLO going on and a lot of bad defenses that they were playing, and then a lot of Stefanski magic happening too. I don't think that Joe Flacco just randomly became good again after being trashed the past 5 to 7
It's called a
years.
hot streak.
Okay, no,
All right, fair
the
enough. So that's gross. You have the Colts. That's okay. Who do you have coming
yep.
in second and third?
Second, it's got to be the Or sorry, sorry. It's got to be the Texans.
Freudian
Sorry.
slip.
Lost myself there. Got to be the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
And then third, it's gonna be the Jaguars. Because I don't think that the Titans are gonna be good in any way, shape, or form this year.
Agreed.
So bottom of the barrel with them. And I feel bad for the Jaguars because they were forced to give Trevor Lawrence more money. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's basically he might as well be wearing a ski mask and a gun and holding a gun every time he goes to cash his checks because he is just not it. Honestly, like if he can, sure, he has like I think he has like one of the highest percentages of drops from his wide receivers over the past 2 or 3 years. But at the same time, he also just isn't good at putting his wide receivers in positions to catch the ball. He has a lot of turnover worthy plays. Last year, he was fifth in the league in turnover worthy play percentage. Do you know who was above him? Minshew, Sam Howell, Josh Dobbs, Desmond Ritter, and Mac Jones. Only one of them are actually a starter going into the next season, and arguably probably shouldn't even be a starter in the NFL. And Gardner Minshew. Everybody else
I saw
is out of.
Gardner Minshew has literally the exact same and slightly better career stats than Trevor Lawrence. They played the same amount of games. Their
Yeah.
pass fitness is the same. Gardner Minshew has more touchdowns, less interceptions. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Lawrence gets paid the $200 million contract. I don't know. It's like in the NFL now. If you're an ounce better than mediocre, here's $200 million.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing too is like I was listening to one of their beat reporters talk about the situation, and they were like, it was either we pay him or we take a risk on an unknown commodity in the draft,
True.
or you go and get look at the other options that are out there, and none of the other options are better than what you have with Minshew, or sorry, with Lawrence, same person. Um, and so so then you go back to it and you're like, okay, well, he's a top tier pick and he's shown potential to be great. Can he sustain that though? Can he stop making those stupid mistakes when he's on the 1 yard line, fumbling the ball into the end zone? Can he stop just fumbling the ball in general?
Mm-hmm.
Can he stop turning over the ball? Can he stop throwing interceptions? You go
Mm-hmm.
down this list, and you're just like, well, damn, he's doing all these bad things, and why the hell do we still got him? And so,
It's weird though too, because I don't know how to feel about him because he's not he's not bad. He's not good. I think
yeah,
he's just a solid quarterback, and obviously he's young. So given the situation, yeah, you probably well, they're in the rock and a hard place. You kind of have to pay him. Kind of like he's
mm-hmm.
better than Daniel Jones. So I guess you can say that.
That's a low
And
bar.
And then
Yeah.
obviously Calvin Ridley went to the Titans and stuff. So, but
Yep.
Trevor Lawrence still has a good cast of receivers and help. Obviously, ETN is elite as a running back. I don't know how you feel about ETN because he gets volume. Do you rate him too? I don't know. Anyway,
No,
you still have.
he's a
Oh, okay.
breakaway running back. He
Oh,
can get
that's right.
those
You had him
yardage
on your team
things.
last year. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you have
I
him.
like
You still
that.
have Christian Kirk. You still they drafted Brian Thomas Jr., who I think you love. You have Evan Ingram
Hmm.
there, who's a PPR monster. So I mean, you still have good talent and stuff. So I just don't think I think the Jags are just going to be like a mediocre team. Like I think they're going to be somewhere around 8 or 9. They're just going to be
Hmm.
solid.
Hmm.
I think they're going to be on the outside looking in when it comes to the wild card, and I don't see them finishing better than third in the division,
Hmm.
unless Anthony Richardson gets hurt. So, which again,
Oh,
is not.
one other thing I forgot to mention as well. So last season,
Mm-hmm.
since the Texans, I think they only had like 4 wins or something like that last year or
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago now. They were allotted one of the easier schedules throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since they so graciously won 10 games last year, they are currently ranked 28th in terms of strength of schedule, with the lower strength of schedule being the most difficult. So and on the flip side of that, you have the Colts, who have the seventh easiest schedule. So, with that disparity, along with the O line disparity, along with all the moving pieces of the divas coming in, the inefficient Joe Mixon, uh, and I just think that it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Round of
I
golf
don't
that
want
the
to.
Texans finished with more wins than the Colts.
Where are we playing? like if we playing Pinecrest or what? Like I got
Fifty
you know
dollar
what,
round of golf.
bro. We'll go Heron Lakes round of golf.
Cool. All right. Sweet. Awesome. All right.
All right,
I
let
wish
me write
you
this.
I wish you nothing but health, Anthony. Though I do like Anthony Richardson, but yeah, I don't see where you
Colts
can't tell me that the Colts are more talented than
over.
the Texans,
No,
and
no, not at
you
all.
can't tell me that the Anthony Richardson is gonna stay healthy for the entirety of the season. Also, like he is a great dual threat, but like he's not the most accurate quarterback out there. His incompletion percentage was really high in the games that he did play. Obviously, he was inefficient. He just was a great scrambler, but that ended
Yeah.
up being his detriment because man don't want to get down. He again thinks he's Cam Newton, and if you think you're Cam Newton things are eventually going to happen to you. It's just anyway. Moving on to what do you want to go through next? We were talking a little bit about quarterbacks getting paid a lot of money this year, so we can go to the AFC East where the Dolphins did pay Tua a large sum of money as well. They also rewrote Tyreek Hill's contract, and they're like, "Hey, you were the offensive, or you should have been offensive player of the year. You're runner-up. You should have had 2,000 yards, but ended up getting hurt a couple games. But we're just going to rewrite you and give you like $10 million more a year, just because."
Hmm.
And you have nothing but speed over there. So how do you have that shaping up? You obviously have the Bills with Stephon Diggs leaving, so Josh Allen doesn't have him anymore, and then you have the Jets obviously with Aaron Rodgers who's coming back from injury. And so there's a lot of things that's going on, and then you have the Pats drafted Drake May, who is the answer. So how do you have how do you have the AFC East shaping up?
One last quick note on Joe Mixon. In
Oh,
terms
oh
of
my god!
in terms of breakaway run percentage,
Uh,
um, out of 38 qualified running backs last season, he finished 31st. So I don't like him. Moving on, um, with the AFC with the AFC East, we have
if
the
you're not
Bills at the top. I
dominating
finished
and
at the
don't
top.
win a 4-2, Drew doesn't like you.
Exactly. That's why I have my Miami Dolphins finishing at the top of the division for the first time in a long time. I think that this is
Oh
the
my
beginning of
god!
the end for the Buffalo Bills. We saw last year a lot of what was happening. you couldn't really put it all on Josh Allen, and it really wasn't all on Dorsey either. It was a combination of the two. And honestly, I don't think that Josh Allen was really playing all that bad. It was instances of play that were costing them the games. It wasn't the overall body of work, versus a couple years ago, where it was just all bad. It was just like terrible decision making and stuff like that. Now, granted, he also
All
still did
time.
okay. He still did have 18 interceptions last year, which is not
Mhm.
great. But at the same time, his passer rating, or passing grade, I should say, on Pro Football Focus, he was third in the league, only behind Dak Prescott and Tua. So he he still was a very elite quarterback, and like I said, it was just a couple of instances throughout the game, or well, in the most pivotal point of the game, which is not great. But in the most like when you needed him most, like the Avatar, he disappeared and he ended up turning the ball over, fumbled, and it was a lot of fluky plays too. It was like the ball tipped off of somebody's helmet and then went like 3 yards down the field. The guy dove and caught it, interception, kind of thing. And it was weird stuff like that, fumbling the ball on like random like weird situations where the ball just like slips out of his hand. So it wasn't necessarily anything that was concerning where I'd think, oh man, like, do you remember how he was like a couple years ago when he was just slinging that thing around, and then he was basically like Jameis 30 for 30 kind of guy. He still has his accuracy, he still has control and stuff. It was just a little bit of a weird year. But then when he was able to get back to his running, that's when he was at his best. And even though I do have not, or even though I do have the Dolphins finishing ahead of the Bills, I do think that this could potentially be like an MVP type of season for Josh Allen, because of uh, the freedom that he's going to have within the offense too. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, which is why I have the Bills finish winning the division again. I think that Josh Allen, towards the end of the season, when they kind of stopped veering away from like the elite wide receiver one and Stephon Diggs, and kind of spread the ball a little bit more, and they leaned more on James Cook. They actually finally had a good running back, which is weird because David Singletary and Zach Moss, who were Josh Allen's running backs a few years ago, they went to different teams and then they wanted to play good all of a sudden, which is really confusing to me. But I digress.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that James Cook, along with the additions that they had, they drafted Keon Coleman. They still have Khalil Shakir. They brought in MVS. They brought in Curtis Samuel. So I think they do have a good amount of options, and they have the second year with Dalton Kincaid, a tight end. I'm not saying that they have nothing's elite or anything like that, but I think they have decent weapons. And I think that when you have Josh Allen, he's able to spread the ball out. And like last year, towards the end of the season, Stephon Diggs started like the first 8 games as like a wide receiver one. I think he's like the wide receiver 3 overall in fantasy, and then he finished as like the wide receiver 33 over like the last 8 games because
Mhm.
I wasn't leaning on him like he had over the past few years. He was spreading the ball out more, which is when they went on their heater to end up winning the division and to go on to win a whole bunch of playoff games until they met, big boy Patrick Mahomes. But I digress. I think that I don't know, the Dolphins. I like the Dolphins. Obviously, they're super exciting on offense, and they have all of the elite speed and stuff like that. But like when the rubber needs to meet the road in like these big games, like they just aren't able to. They just aren't able to do it. And then when they get into the cold weather games in the playoffs and stuff like that, that's like my main concern from them. So they lost a whole bunch of weapons defensively. They lost Xavier Howard, Christian Wilkes, Andrew Van Ginkel, like all of their players on defense. So I think they're going to be good. They're going to be entertaining and everything like that. But I think they're going to be competing more with the Jets than they are with the Bills. I still think that the Jets are still going to be good this season when Aaron Rodgers obviously is healthy now. And then I don't you didn't really talk about your boy A Rod at all. You don't think that they have a chance to make some noise in the division, or no?
No, I, I mean,
Because like, how many wins do you think
they'll,
the Dolphins are going to win? 'Cause I think that's going to be a very competitive division. So like, I think the Bills
yeah,
will win the game, but like, I think that it's going. I think it's going to be similar to the NFC East. I think there's going to be 3 very good teams, and then there's going to be that the Pacers going to be at the bottom.
yeah. It's a tough division to break down, honestly, because of the unknown of Aaron Rodgers and the Jets and what they can be. Um, especially because they were able to have 7 wins when they had the worst quarterbacking uh,
Exactly.
in history. Maybe not in
He
history,
said
but
in history.
dude, they were so bad. Like it was like 3 yards and a cloud of dust.
I like that Robert Sala,
But
like his post game interviews where he actually tried to make it sound like Zach Wilson actually was like competent when it comes to the quarterback positions. He really
yeah,
tries. You know,
he does his best. It's
does his
like,
best.
okay,
I was like, bruh.
that's not good enough. But yeah, no, it'll. I mean, even like a 50% version of Aaron Rodgers is going to be better than whatever the hell they had last year.
You don't think that's
Um,
worth 2 wins?
I think that it's worth maybe a win because I don't think that the offense is going to run strictly through Aaron Rodgers. I think that um,
Exactly. Brees Hall is going to be reproved, a year removed from his ACL, and he looked like a
yeah,
monster towards the end of the season.
yeah, and I think that since the offense is going to be running through
Brees
the
Hall.
running game, yeah, in Brees Hall rather than through the offensive end, I think we're still going to see a decent amount of like similar play that we did last year, but little bit more efficiency out of it. Because if we go back to our lovely stat of EPA per play plus completions over expected, Zach Wilson was 30th out of 30 qualified quarterbacks last year in that stat over the whole season. So if you can be better than dead last, I think that they'll be
He's doing something all
at
right.
least exactly. I think they'll be at least middle of the pack. Um, and I don't want to like overreact and be like, oh well, they got 7 wins, they got to at least get to like 10, 11, because a lot of those games that they did win, it was because of like a well, one in particular, it was a punt return against the Patriots where that it was the guy's like first game ever in the NFL that he was playing
That
returns a
was
punt
against the
for.
Bills.
Was it against the Bills?
That was like the first
Okay,
game of the
look,
season when Aaron Rodgers did tear the Achilles and they came back
yeah,
because Josh Allen threw 4 picks.
I thought didn't they have like two punt return? I thought
I think they had one against the Patriot like later in the season.
hmm.
The exact same thing. It was like 3-3 the entire game, and then somebody had
Yeah,
like yeah.
exactly. Yeah. But so I mean, with that, like those are very volatile plays that have no kinds of consistency
Mm-hmm.
and no way to predict. Oh, like if this ball went here, like then they would have this percent chance of winning that game. Like that was a complete random thing that happened, like a random occurrence, and with that variability thrown in,
Mm-hmm.
who knows what they could finish. Like you could tell me that they're going to finish with 7 wins again this year. I'd be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. You could tell me they finished with 10 wins this year. I'd be like, probably that is within the realm of possibilities. It also does help too that they have they bolstered up their offensive line
Mm-hmm.
because it was one of the worst in the league last year, quite frankly, and we saw
It's
that,
terrible.
and that's that's one of the reasons why
That was
Aaron
the
Rodgers got hurt.
problem.
Exactly. But now they have Tyron Smith from the not the Colts. I want to say the Colts from the
Cowboys.
Cowboys. Yep. And last year he played just about every game. I believe he did play every game actually.
He's
And
27,000 years old.
that is true. But also, guess how many sacks he gave up last year?
It's hard to give up sacks
One.
in a retirement home.
Okay. One sack last year. So is that good? I think that's good. I'm not. He
Nah, it's
played
zero.
100% of the snaps as well. Granted, he didn't play every game, um, but he played the majority of them, which is good. Um, and with that too, he's obviously a future Hall of Famer, left tackle. But I like you said yourself, he's a million years old, but he is a lot better than anything that they put out there last year. Like me and you could have blocked better. Along with that, maybe not better than that. I'm only 5'6". Anyways, but yeah, and then along with that, they also added in Morgan Moses, and he came over from the Ravens, and that's going to help out the run game immensely. Obviously, we saw what happened last year with the Ravens and their as prolific as it was. So I think that having those two on the offensive line will be very beneficial. And that leads me to the Pro Football Focus ranking of this year. One of the other teams that has a very large jump, and I'm kind of iffy on whether or not I believe it, but they went from 30th overall offensive line to 8th overall.
Hey,
That is quite the jump. That is very similar to the Bears, where they went from 27th to 9th. I think it lies somewhere a little bit more in between than like top 10 because of those two players. I think that maybe they're more so around like 15 or so, rather than being top 10. Um, but yeah, and then Aaron
and
Rodgers, like I said with Kirk Cousins, not too concerned about his Achilles. Like it's basically a year removed from the injury, and usually with that injury you look from anywhere from about like 10 to 12 months for that kind of injury, and he's well within return to play parameters there, so he should be good to go. Not
fair
without
enough.
that BS of him saying, "Oh, I'm gonna come back during Christmas, bro." Like like okay, stop.
Hey man, he was
But
ready for Thanksgiving. All right.
oh my god,
But anyway, fair enough. Moving on, we can move on to the AFC West, better known as Patrick Mahomes' house. So yeah, I have it. Chiefs. I think that they're going to do what they do. They're going to win this division pretty easily. And then I have the Chargers. I think that as long as they're able to stay healthy, I think the addition of Jim Harbaugh. They do lose weapons with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. I don't know how much you want to say Mike Williams is a weapon with his injury history. But added Lad McConkey, also added all of these running backs since you also lost Austin Eckler. So you added J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. So we'll see how that works. But I do think that they're going to be improved. I think they're going to be somewhat consistent. Raiders, I still don't have. I think the Raiders and Broncos are going to be, fighting for third place. I think the Broncos are going to be improved. I do like Bo Nix. I do like the arm. I do obviously. You would love Sean Payton for some reason. I still don't understand that. I still think he's overrated as a coach. But I think that they are going to improve. I think Javante, again, a year removed from his ACL injury, is going to be better. They still have Cortland Sutton, even though they lost Jerry Jeudy. And then the Raiders, are still the Raiders. I think Gardner Minshew is going to be way better than any of the stuff that they had last season with Jimmy Garoppolo. Um, I don't remember the second quarterback that they ended up playing, who was the rookie, Aiden O'Connell, I think it was, or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, Aiden
So I
O'Connell.
still think that Gardner Minshew. I think Gardner Minshew is very underrated, and what he was able to do for the Colts last year, and how many wins that they had, especially after Anthony Richardson. I think that he'll be able to at least give Devontae decent volume, especially if he was able to make Michael Pittman look that good. But I don't think they're going to win a whole bunch of games. So I have it: Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, Broncos. Interchangeable between
Yeah.
Broncos and Raiders, though.
Um, One thing I forgot to mention, actually, both kind of forgot to mention, was the Patriots. Quick
Nope.
note: they're going to be the worst team in the NFL this year. Don't overthink it. Take the under in their win total. They're
I
not
think
going to
they'll be better
win.
than the Panthers. No,
Stop.
actually, they might not be.
You want to round of
No,
golf,
thank
sir.
you. No, thank you.
Please.
And Drake May, we
Like,
trust.
no, I don't know about that. There, he was playing against secondary players and players that might not even have contracts going into the season. So, but anywho, moving on to the AFC West. Yeah, wash, rinse, repeat. Again, like I said last year, say it again. Just take just take them to win. Like it's the easiest bet you can make every single year. It's not going to change until that man retires. So or he
$100
gets
to win
traded.
a couple pennies, but a couple pennies, good
I
evening.
mean, not even a couple pennies. Like you can basically get like 50% return on your investment, putting something down on them to win the division. Um,
Couple pennies.
and I mean, it's pretty safe bet too because, like we were saying, the Raiders have nobody. I don't
And
care
they
what you
lost Josh
say.
Jacobs. And
Yeah.
Zamir White, we
Um,
trust, apparently.
Zamir White ain't it. I don't understand the hype around him.
Ain't no
Sure,
Rico
it's
Dowdle.
stop. Sure, it's his backfield and everything like that, but at the same time,
Is it?
um, yeah, like who else going to take carries from him?
I don't
Like
know. There'll
and
probably be
and
some running back off the street that they'll find that'll be decent.
okay, and that's what Antonio Pierce likes to do is just run and gun. So like he's just going to give it to one guy and then just run it into the offensive lines, but like 50 million times and hope for the best. So, and unfortunately for Devonte Adams, my guy, he went
Hey,
over there
he's
with
my
all the
wide
hopes in the
receiver one
world.
though. All right, he
That's
just needs his
unfortunate.
volume. Just give him his volume. All right, give me
That's the thing. Like
130 targets.
how is he
Hey,
going to get the ball to him? Like I don't
he
think
made
that.
Michael Pittman. I still think Devontae Adams is better at this point in his career than Michael Pittman, who's much younger. But if he can make Michael Pittman like the wide receiver 12 overall, he can make Devontae Adams a top 10 wide receiver.
Okay, yeah, we'll
Are you
see.
saying that Michael Pittman is better than Devontae Adams?
And I'm not saying that. I'm
Okay,
just saying
that's
that I don't. I think that Minshew's season that he had last year was greatly helped by Shane Steichen. I don't think a lot of I think a lot of the play calling was schemed up so that he could be successful, which is what makes Steichen like such a great coach, and which is why I think that they're going to win the division
mm-hmm.
because he sets his team up for success. I don't, and quite frankly, like he was what like one play away from having them make the playoffs and be in the position that the Texans were in.
Yeah, if he
So
threw it to
like
Devontae
that could
Adams, then
have
we might have won the
well
playoffs.
no, I'm saying with the Colts and everything. Like
Yeah, if they had
the
Devontae Adams, they might have won
okay, get
the playoffs.
the anyways, moving on. The yeah, I don't think that the Raiders are really going to be doing anything this year. And the award that they win after having 8 wins and 9 losses last season is having the 24th ranked schedule in terms of having the 24th easiest schedule, which is not good for them. So they're not going to be doing anything anytime soon. Um, Same thing with the Broncos. They also have a gauntlet to go through of a schedule. They have the 25th ranked easiest schedule, if you will. So between those two, somehow, some way, the Chiefs got the 12th easiest schedule. It's not fair for them,
Repeat.
but yeah, that's what it's really looking like right now. Um, Thankfully for the Chargers, they have the second easiest schedule out there. But I don't think that it's really going to be all that much help. Maybe I think that they can get back to about 6 to 7 wins or so. Is within the realm of possibilities for them,
Yep.
uh, because they don't have anybody there either. Like it is crazy
Hey,
that last year all of the teams had like, oh, like there's this one guy, there's this one player, like this year there's a lot of teams that just don't have anybody there. Like they
you put
have
some
one or two
respect on
players
Lad McConkey's name.
and stop it. I before you drafted him, I literally had no idea who that man was. I
Mm,
literally never heard of that.
amateur.
Like, okay,
Google
like
me. All right, watch my Georgia
I'm gonna need
highlights. You
to.
think that Brock Bowers is the guy? Google me, Chuck.
Yep. So, like with all of that, this division's pretty cut and dry.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be this is the way that I have it breaking down is the Chiefs, Broncos, Raiders, and then the Chargers. I do think that the Broncos are gonna be better this season. I said that last year and the year before that too. Third time's the charm. God damn it.
Bro, can you just finally admit that Sean Payton
No.
sucks?
So this is the thing too. Is like last year, and it was just a lot of
It's all these
like
excuses.
Russ. Well, no, hear me out. Like Russ wanted to do his thing. He
He
is
wasn't
Russ.
bad.
I know he wasn't bad. He was good.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is Sean Payton doesn't like that. Sean Payton likes to puppeteer. He
Mm,
likes to say do this play, run this
mm.
play. You have these options if this play
Yes, sir.
doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And exactly that's what he like. Yes, sir. No, sir. Would you like some more, sir? That's what
Mm.
he likes.
You know what that
And if you're
smells
not
like?
doing that, we don't even don't even go there. Let me say that. But
What quarterback
that's
was
what he
he?
likes.
Oh, yeah, Drew Brees. That
Yeah,
makes
Drew
sense.
Brees.
That checks out.
So
And who did he
so
draft? Bo Nix. Oh, and that checks out.
yeah, Bo Nix.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so with that though, that's what he likes. And
Mm-hmm.
when a quarterback just does as he's told, and Bo Nix, since he's a rookie, he's just gonna do as he's told. That's all
He's
he
a
knows.
gunner. He's a
Yeah,
gunner.
and he was good at Oregon too. And the thing that helps him versus like somebody like Anthony Richardson is that he actually has some games underneath him. Like
Some
he's what
experience.
24 or something like that
Yeah,
coming into
and
the league.
Oregon runs a
Um,
pro style offense too. So
yeah, exactly. And so that definitely is going to help him out. Versus, like, I mean, we saw what happened with Trey Lance. Dude didn't play for a year. Dude barely played any games. And then we saw what happened. He one of the worst quarterbacks in the league now.
bro, he just threw
Um,
5 interceptions like
yeah,
last week.
I haven't seen that since Nathan Peterman. Like every time I see Nathan Peterman like going under center, I lick my chops because I just hammer whatever team he's playing against, and it's the easiest. It's basically free money at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So if I ever see uh, Trey Lance playing, I free money. Anyways, um, their win total right now is at 5.5. I think that's kind of rude, honestly. Um, but I do think that that's probably around where they'll end up finishing. I think that they can get to 6 wins. I feel like 5 is kind of just disrespectful.
Six
Um,
wins with the Hall of Fame coach, bro.
yeah,
On his
exactly.
like second season. All right.
And that's
Anyway,
all. That's all you need.
all right. Finishing up, last but not least, one of the more competitive divisions. At least last year, we have the AFC North. The Ravens looking to run it back as they were very squeaked out by the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. Coming back with Lamar Jackson and him. Then we got the Bengals, who have Joe Burrow, who's supposed to be fully healthy. If you can comment a little bit more on that. And then we have the Browns with Deshaun Watson, who's supposedly supposed to be fully healthy, but I guess he's dealing with some soreness in his throwing arm as well. And then you have the Steelers with the QB saga that we touched on towards the end of the season with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. For everything that I've been hearing recently, it's saying that Russell Wilson likely will still be the starter for Week 1. But then how do you have this shaping up, or do you have anybody that you feel like could make some surprises this year within the AFC North?
In terms of surprises, I mean, I wouldn't
Steelers all the
wouldn't
way.
really. Okay, stop it. Um, like speaking of Steelers, I think it's kind of silly that they're having a quarterback competition as if you're not going to start a future Hall of Famer. Like you're going to start Justin Fields, who's won nothing in his life, over Russell
Jesus.
Wilson. Like I mean, let's be honest. Like he's literally won nothing in his career. Um, like versus Russ. Like
Mm-hmm.
it makes no sense, and they're basically the same style of quarterback. Russ
Mm-hmm.
has relies a little bit more on his passing game nowadays versus his rushing.
Justin got the
He's getting up there
juice.
in age. Yeah, and that's all he has is his legs. And that's not the kind of offense that Mike Tomlin wants to run. That's not the type of offense that Mike Tomlin has ever ran. So I don't think that the only way that Justin Fields gets on the field, no pun intended, is if like somehow they're running like a 2 QB set or something like that, and then they like pitch it off to him, and like they throw it back with
Hey
like
man, that's
down
what
the
I'm
field to
saying. They might
somebody,
just
something
be
like that.
100% pure run. All right,
It
Wildcat.
He's gonna be like Tim Tebow, I think, or
Okay.
like Taysom Hill kind of thing. Um, I don't think that I don't think that they're gonna be all that good this year.
Mm-hmm.
Because also like their their
500
makeup of their team.
bucket.
I don't know. I think that this might be the year. This might
They
be the
say
year
that
that
every
they.
year.
Okay.
You know how, but
Um,
bruh, last year, like they've had years starting Mason Rudolph,
by the grace of God, like literally by the grace, I have no idea how that
Kenny
happened.
Pickett. Like,
Yeah, that's fair. But okay, so I looked up Justin Fields' career record:
we don't
11
need
and
to do. We
29.
don't. We don't need to do all that. That's rude. We
11
just
and
talked
20.
about. We
Like
talked about it earlier. They didn't give this man no weapons. They gave him no
that's
weapons,
fine.
and then he leaves, and they're like, you know
I'm just
what?
saying.
We're gonna give this next guy everything. The kitchen
I,
sink.
I'm just saying.
All right, and then who do you have winning the division?
Um,
Because I still got the Ravens.
mm, I don't. I don't think it's gonna be the Ravens. I like well, just because I looked up this stat real quick. Russell Wilson 115 and 72 and 1. So I'm not sure where the 1 comes into play, but yeah.
I think it was gonna.
Anyways, yeah. Anywho, anyhow, um, yeah, I don't think that I'm going to go with the Ravens this year. Um, and here's why. This year they have the 29th ranked schedule in terms of easiest schedules. That's just These are all just basically based on the
Win
odds of
percentage from
their win
last year
totals and
too.
everything. Yeah, based on that too. So um, they have a very difficult schedule this year. Along with that, they lost your boy, your future coach of the year, Mike McDaniel's, or McDonald, sorry. Uh, and without him navigating everything back there, I think that they're going to run into a good amount of problems. They lost a few guys on the defensive end as well. And last year, with all the injuries that they had and not being able to efficiently run the ball because of all the lack of running backs that they had. Um, I think that that was a major problem. They bring in Derrick Henry. Is that the solution? Maybe, maybe not.
Probably.
The Yeti is getting old, and he is one of the most game script dependent running backs in history of the NFL.
The Ravens are
Because
only game script. We're gonna run the ball whether you like it or not, unless we're playing the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. Then we're gonna try to pass. Other than that, we're running.
legit, that's facts. But at the same time, that's going to be a problem when you go and let me scroll down here to find out where their offensive line ranks this year. Oh, 21st in the league as opposed
Where did
to
the
sixth.
Titans rank last year?
The Titans last year, they were 19th.
Exactly. There you go.
So I'm just saying, well, in terms of run offense, or offensive run blocking, they were 13th.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And then this year, the Ravens run blocking 21st. So a little bit more of a difference there. But yeah,
You
no, I
try
think
you
that
try tackling Sasquatch. I don't care how
that's
big of
fair.
a run
That's fair.
defense.
I just think it's going to be a different offense. I don't like the weapons that they have outside of Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
Like
That's fair.
it's it's pretty much just Andrews.
It's all
And
it's
then
ever been.
exactly. And you see how many championships they've won. So
How many of the
I don't
Bengals
think
won?
that the Bengals have been injured. They should have, and
There
they
you
made
go.
it to the Super Bowl.
Barely.
Like how many times Lamar Jackson made it to the Super Bowl?
Hey man,
I,
I ain't gonna be hating on my
exactly.
brother. All right.
Uh,
You lost to
I'm
Patrick
just saying
Mahomes. There ain't no shame in losing to Patrick Mahomes.
that's fair. But I mean, the only person that could beat Mahomes is Joey B.
Yeah, and he
So
can't stay healthy.
well, he's healthy this year, and
Is
that's
he?
why I'm picking the Bengals
Mm-hmm.
to win the AFC North this year. Um, I think that sure, yeah, it's you can say wash, rinse, repeat. It's gonna be the Ravens again. Um, but like I said, I think that having being a year removed from the calf injury with Joe Burrow, and then you have Jamar Chase, he got paid, got the bag, and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Higgins is still doing his thing out there. He's still elite.
He wants his
Um,
money.
well, that's fine.
This is
He'll
his
get it.
last season
He'll
there. No, he won't. Not with him.
that that's fine. Well,
Okay.
he'll earn it. And so,
I
and
hope so. He's on my
since
team.
they okay, um, and along with that too, like I don't think that the Browns are going to be particularly good this year. I think that they had a lot of luck go their way. Clearly, when you have Joe Flacco leading the charge, I think that some luck has
Leader.
to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some weird stuff going on with their defensive front in terms of like their home road splits were just like drastically different. On the road, they were basically like a bottom 10 defense and at home they were like a top 5 like Hall of Fame type defensive force. So I don't know what happened with that. I think it's probably like as it always is somewhere in the middle. Um,
Speaking of
but
defense, what are the Bengals gonna do?
Bengals they got a pretty decent defense out there.
You said that Mike
Yeah.
McDonald is over in Seattle and stuff now. So even though the
Yeah.
Ravens still have good pieces and these stuff, their coordinator might just be. What are the Ravens? Or what are the Bengals about to do?
So for the Bengals, okay, their main thing was their
other than Trey
secondary, which
Hendricks.
yeah, it's like they bolstered up their defensive line, which is great. But
Mm,
the problem is their secondary, which is not all
exactly.
that great. But that's okay because their secondary, or sorry, their D line can get penetration and slow down the passing game by speeding them up. They also have a pretty good run stop and defense as well. So from those two perspectives, they'll be pretty decent. But yeah, and the secondary is a concern. I mean, but every team's got a concern, like it's
Hmm.
um you know thing. But yeah, no. I do think that the Bengals are going to be much improved this year, along with um the schedule that the Ravens have. It's going to be pretty difficult to overcome, especially when the Bengals have the sixth easiest schedule this year, going into the season. So I along with those combinations. You like it, I love it, and want some more of Joey B. And I again, are we forgetting the combination, the connection that those two had in the second half of the season when Joe Burrow was healthy before he hurt his hand or hurt his wrist or whatever? Like he was back to the same old guy that he was 2 years ago. Now he's healthy. He looks like the real Slim Shady, and I think that he can get the job done. And the other thing um, with the Steelers too is that Tomlin, I hear you, I love you, you're a great coach, you're a Hall of Famer, but at the same time, I just it's just one of those things where I don't think he can do it anymore.
Hey, I'm always okay. All right. Yeah.
So
That's what you should say for your boy, the Broncos coach. That's what Sean Payton should say. Oh, he's just stealing money at this point. But yeah, I agree. I mean, like I still have the Bagels as a wild card team. I still think they're going to make the playoffs. So that makes sense. So that will pretty much do it for all of the divisions. So those are our division winners for this season. Next week we will go over who we specifically have in playoff rankings, and then who we kind of have going for the Super Bowl matchup, as well as our predictions for like awards, MVP, Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and things of that nature. But other than that, Drew, is there anything else that you wanted to get into today?
no, that's pretty much everything. Don't like Joe Mixon, don't like Josh Jacobs,
Don't like
and
Rashad White. Don't like.
yeah, Rashad White. Rashad White's just bad. Like I hate
Okay.
that he finished as high as he did
It's
because
RB
he's not a
four.
good. That was all based on like touchdowns and passing game. He's not a running back. It was just dump offs. Like he's
ETN did
not.
the same thing. Like I think
No,
they
ETN had breakaway runs and he actually was efficient and he was actually a good running back.
I can't
Unlike
tell.
Rashard White is ugh, just can't even.
Okay. All
Anyways,
right.
moral of the story is the Mariners. Last thing here, the Mariners
Oh
did
boy.
classic Mariner things.
Yeah.
They started out super hot, gave you a lot of hope out there. A lot of people were even like thinking, "Oh, the Mariners can actually make a pretty good run this year. They're at the top of the division, and they've actually been able to hold it through the summer." And then I was like, "Well, I don't know
Sure
about
about
that,
that.
sir." Exactly, because the Astros do what the Astros do. They finally got healthy. They stopped fooling around like they were in the beginning of the season when they were losing to like teams like the White Sox and stuff like that. They turned it around and now they're ahead of the division. And now the Mariners' hopes of making the playoffs are dwindling by the day, and they're most likely not going to make it per usual. So live another day, live to fight another year, I should say, actually, because it won't be this year, probably not next year, maybe not the year after that either. But hopefully, in 3 to 4 years, we can eventually make the playoffs again. So help me God. In Jesus' name, amen.
Oh boy. That was pretty much the
Yep.
main notes as well. Awesome. Shout out to Team USA bringing in the gold. You know, Serbia gave us a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of a scare there, but Steph Curry had to do Steph Curry things. LeBron had to do LeBron things, and LeBron gets to play with his son Bronny James in this upcoming season with the Lakers. So that's going to be great as we go 35 and 50. But I digress on that. So other than that,
Mm-hmm.
thank you for listening, everybody. This has been the Calling Shot Podcast.
Actually,
What do you
sorry,
got?
sir.
What you got?
One last thing before I go.
Mm.
Also, don't sleep. The Paralympic Games are going to be starting tomorrow and going through September 8th. So that'll also be, I believe, on NBC and Peacock, same as the actual Olympics as well. The Paralympics is also going to be in Paris. Got a lot of great athletes out there showing up and showing out. So be good to give them some support as well. That's all I got.
Perfect. Other than that, this has been the Calling Shot Podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back on our social media, so on our YouTube, Instagram, and you can get the links to a lot of the picks that we have throughout the season. So make sure you check that out. Give us a follow, like, share, however you want to do it there. Anything else you got, Drew?
I'm spitting bars now. That's all I got.
All right, we'll see y'all next week.
Peace.